Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're jumping into a really fascinating idea, almost a paradox. How you can actually achieve more by trying less.
Have you ever been there? You're pushing so hard on a project, you're managing every single tiny detail, trying to force this perfect outcome. You're working late, sending just one more email, basically white-knuckling the steering wheel of your life. And what do you get for it? You're exhausted, you're stressed out, and a lot of the time, the result is not even that great. This is what we could call the tyranny of trying. It's this exhausting belief that more force is always going to equal more success.
But what if there's another way? A path with less resistance, more flow, and honestly, better results? Well, it turns out there is. And it's captured so elegantly in 6 profound questions that can totally shift our whole approach, away from that forceful control to something we might call effortless action.
So let's walk through these 6 questions together and think of them less like a test you have to pass and more like a set of keys. Keys that can unlock a more effective and frankly more graceful way of living and working.
Okay, so question number 1 is for you, right here, right now. Can you unify your body and mind? In other words, are you fully present? Or is your mind already jumping ahead to the next meeting or maybe replaying a conversation from yesterday?
We've all done this. You sit down for some deep work, you're all ready to focus, but then your phone buzzes, an email pops up. You tell yourself, oh, I'll just quickly check it. And before you know it, your focus is shattered, scattered in a million directions. The practice here is simple, but it's not easy. When you're working, just work. When you're talking to someone, really listen. Just unify your attention on the one thing that's right in front of you.
The second question, this one gives us a really powerful image to think about. Can you soften your energy like a baby? A newborn is just the definition of relaxed, right? There's no tension in their shoulders, no clenched jaw. It's just this pliable, soft, flexible kind of energy. Imagine you're in a tense meeting. Someone challenges your idea. Now their gut reaction is to tense up, get defensive, maybe fight back with some sharp words. But what if, instead, you just took a single, slow breath? What if you consciously relaxed your shoulders and chose to respond calmly? That's softening your energy. It's not about being weak, it's about choosing a flexible response over a rigid, knee-jerk reaction.
Now, our next question, it sounds a little mystical, but I promise you, it's incredibly practical. Can you cleanse your inner vision? This is all about clearing out the mental and emotional gunk that clouds our judgment.
You know, our minds are kind of like a camera lens. And if that lens is smudged with old grudges, biases, or just unprocessed feelings, we can't see the world clearly. If you're convinced a coworker is incompetent because of one mistake they made a year ago, you'll see everything they do through that dirty lens. Things like journaling or meditation, they're not really about becoming zen. They're about cleaning the lens so you can see what's actually there.
Okay, question 4 takes this idea and expands it outward, from how we manage ourselves to how we deal with other people. Can you govern without force? And this applies whether you're a CEO, a team lead, or even a parent.
You know, there's this great story about a manager. Instead of dictating every single step of a project, she'd get her team together and she'd clearly define the destination, the goal. And then she'd say, I trust you to find the best way to get there. And then she stepped back. The team, suddenly free from the pressure of being micromanaged, came up with this wildly innovative solution she never would have thought of on her own. They felt empowered, not controlled. That's what it means to govern without force.
Question 5 is all about our relationship with the unexpected. Can you stay receptive amid change? It's really asking, are you like a rigid stone that shatters when things get tough? Or are you more like water that just flows around any obstacle in its path?
The classic business example of this is Netflix. Think about it. They were the king of DVDs by mail. When streaming came along, they could have been a stone, stubbornly clinging to their old model until it crumbled. Instead, they became water. They adapted, they flowed right into that new channel, and they became even more powerful. That's receptivity on a massive scale.
And that brings us to our 6th and final question. And this one really gets to the heart of what true wisdom is. Can you understand deeply without arrogance? See, there's a huge difference between knowing something and needing everyone else to know that you know it.
Think about the best mentor you've ever had. Did they just lecture you and hand you all the answers? Probably not. They listened, they stayed curious, and they asked you the exact right questions that helped you discover the answer for yourself. An arrogant expert lectures. A wise guide asks questions. They get that their job is to ignite your understanding, not just show off their own. So, here we are with these 6 really powerful questions. And what's so amazing is that they're not just some random list. They all point toward a single profound principle, an ultimate virtue that ties this whole thing together. This virtue is about nurturing things without feeling like you need to own them.
It's about taking action without demanding credit for it. And ultimately, it's about this: guiding without controlling. These 3 phrases are the core of it all. Nurturing without owning, acting without credit, guiding without controlling. This is the absolute essence of effortless action. It's about leading and creating and living, not by force, but by helping things flourish on their own.
Now you might be thinking, okay, this all sounds like some nice ancient philosophy. But this wisdom is actually alive and well, and you can see it working all around us today if you know where to look.
Let's look at some modern sages who live these ideas. Nurture without owning? That's the entire spirit of open source software. People build these amazing tools for everyone and don't claim ownership. Act without credit? That's a great teacher who feels pride when their students succeed, not because it makes them look good, but because the student is shining. And guide without control? Well, that's the whole art of smart parenting, isn't it? You set clear, safe boundaries, but then you empower your kids to make their own choices inside them.
So here's the crucial point, the main takeaway. True, lasting power. It isn't found in gripping things tightly. It's not about force or micromanagement or ego. Real power is found in empowerment. It's the power that creates, that supports, and then it lets go.
And that brings this whole idea right back to you. Because this isn't just a philosophy to admire from a distance, it's a practice to actually live.
So I'll leave you with a final, challenging question. Think about your week ahead. In just one area, maybe it's at work, with your family, maybe even in a personal project, where can you consciously make the choice to guide instead of control? Where can you try to nurture without owning and act without needing the credit? Because that is where the art of effortless action really begins.